won't get the chance to draft Ashton Jeanty, but don't be surprised if the Tennessee Titans go running back earlier than you think. I'll tell you who's the best fit on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. On today's episode, we are going to continue the 2025 Locked On Titans NFL Draft Preview Series with the running backs and the tight ends. I think the Tennessee Titans need a running back a lot more than some of you guys think. I'm going to break it down and tell you who the best fits are on day 1, day 2, day 3, most likely not day 1 though. But we're also going to talk about the tight ends that fit for the Titans late in the draft as well. Before we dive into all of that today, though, do want to thank you for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen each and every day, and for tuning in Monday through Friday, every day. Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. Again, it's your team every day. Shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in, again, Monday through Friday. If you aren't an everydayer, you need to be one because it's draft season. I'm going through every position on offense and defense. I talked about Cam Ward and the quarterbacks earlier this week. I dropped an awesome 50-minute long Cam Ward scouting video on the Tic Tac Titans YouTube channel, along with a 30-minute breakdown on things that Cam Ward has to get better at. So check out those two videos. But it's draft season, folks. So again, lock in. Let's talk about running backs. And first, I want to talk about my view of the Tennessee Titans running back position, and I will continue to push the narrative and to push my agenda here. The Tennessee Titans have to get a running back early in the NFL draft. Maybe not early, but they have to get a running back, I would say, at some point in the NFL draft. They have to go out, especially in a draft class with a ton of really good running backs. I mean, there are 25 guys who might get drafted, maybe even more at the running back position. The Tennessee Titans have to come away with one of these rookie running backs. And look, you start at the top of the draft, the guys that are going to be picked first. And of course, you have Ashton Jeanty. The Titans aren't going to get an opportunity to take Ashton Jeanty. I just don't see that as possible. If Ashton Jeanty were there at pick number 35, well, then yeah, the Tennessee Titans should jump all over that and do that. And you may be telling yourself right now, that's insane. Why would they take a running? Well, listen, Tyjae Spears, injured last year, wasn't reliable, didn't have a great season. Tony Pollard, trying to be a bell cow back without Tyjae Spears, broke down at the end of the year. I think that this will be the last year we see Tony Pollard with the Tennessee Titans. I think he's going to slowly break down as he gets older and the wear and tear that he has on him. The Tennessee Titans need to get a back if they want to extend Tony Pollard's career and they want to have him for a couple more years. They have to get a power back that can take some of the load off of Tony Pollard if Tyjae Spears gets hurt. And if they hit on the right guy, they can move forward. They can move off of Tony Pollard after the season, and they can have Tyjae Spears and a new power back and use that as their committee going forward. And then a year later, when Tyjae Spears is inevitably on his way out, you draft another running back, and you just keep doing that with the running back position over and over and over again. So look, I think the Tennessee Titans absolutely must draft a running back in this class. And again, the top tier options: Ashton Jeanty, 3 down, bell cow back, probably going to go in the top 10, not going to be an option. Amarian Hampton from North Carolina also looks like he's going to end up being a first-round running back. He's another power back with good hands. And then you have a Travion Henderson from Ohio State, who is a home run hitter. He's got great speed, make plays out in the open field, great vision and setting up his blocks. He's absolutely tremendous. And then the other Ohio State running back, Quinshon Judkins, who is more of a strong power back, doesn't quite have the wiggle or the elite speed, but just a strong back. He kind of reminds me of Joe Mixon a little bit. Quinshon Judkins, I think that's the type of running back that he could be at the NFL level. So those 4 guys, I think, are all going to go in the top 40 picks in the draft. And the reality is, if it's not Ashton Jeanty, I just don't think the Titans can use pick number 35 on one of these top-tier running backs. It's a little too rich. If it's Jeanty, who is, a generational talent maybe at running back, but he's not going to be there. So I think that for Amarion Hampton, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, 35 would be too rich. All right. So now we move past that. We talk about the guys that would be available after that. And I think the day 2 group of running backs is where the Tennessee Titans might strike. Now, I want to say this before we go into it. Caleb Johnson, the running back out of Iowa, who in my opinion is at the top of the list of the next group of running backs that we're going to talk about. Caleb Johnson is a guy the Titans had in on a 30 visit. So if you don't think the Titans are interested in running backs in this range that I'm about to go into, you might want to think again, because the Titans brought in Caleb Johnson to confirm something and check a box about his evaluation that they had to check in person. And that means that they're interested in running backs in this range. So again, day 2 running backs that I think realistically could be available for the Titans and that the Titans would realistically be interested in. Caleb Johnson, again, out of Iowa. The Titans already brought him in on a visit. 6'1", 224 pounds. He's got great size. He got great vision. He has all of the mental aspects of playing running back. He can see it. He can set up the blocks. He sees the holes. He can cut back. He runs within the scheme and knows where his openings are going to be. He may not have elite speed. He doesn't have great wiggle in open field. He's not going to be a great receiver out of the backfield, but he's going to be a power running back, short yardage, goal line, can absorb carries. And that's the style of runner that the Tennessee Titans need to be looking for, a power running back that can complement Tony Pollard, who's kind of a tweener, and then Tajay Spears, who's more of the speed back. Another guy who I think makes a ton of sense in that ilk is Damian Martinez, who played with Cam Ward at Miami. He runs with power. He is incredible in short yardage situations. One of the best running backs in the nation in short yardage situations and conversion rates. He also has great yards after contact. Again, he's going to power through guys. He has great cuts and great vision. He may not have elite speed. He's not much of a receiving running back. His hands are very questionable for sure. But I think he would fit. And he may not be a great zone runner. It was more power stuff at Miami. But if you're bringing in Cam Ward, you're probably going to run similar stuff, power out of shotgun. The Titans already ran a ton of power last year. So Damian Martinez from Miami, bringing him back in the fold to go with Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, and then having him as a power back, that would be a great fit for the Tennessee Titans. So those are my favorite 2 day 2 power options. Dylan Sampson from Tennessee is a guy who some people listening may know very well. Home run hitter, incredible speed, great at setting up his blockers and cutting off of his blocks, but he's 5'8". He ran into light boxes nonstop in college. Like, they did not load the box at all against Tennessee's gimmicky offense. He hasn't proven that he can be a receiving back out of the backfield. He hasn't proven that he can be a good pass blocker, and he's had fumble issues. So I think Dylan Sampson is a good pick for a different team. I don't think the Titans have Dylan Sampson at home with a guy like Tajay Spears. They need a power back. And another guy who fits that mold is a Cam Skattebo. You guys probably know about Cam, Arizona State, power back, 5'9", 219 pounds. Tremendous. I mean, he is going to truck stick you all the way down the field. He has great vision. He has great hands as well, great catching the ball, but he just doesn't have athletic explosion. He doesn't have great speed. He's had a ton of carries too. And you think about how long his career might be. He's also had 10 fumbles in 3 years. I think Cam Skattebo would make sense for the Titans, but I wonder if they would truly be interested in him. A couple more running backs in that range who I don't really see as good fits for the Titans, but I mean, they are in that range. Trevor Etienne from Georgia. Yes, it's Travis's younger brother. He's a third down back with speed. He powers through things a little bit more than you would think for a speed back at his size, 5'9", but he's a guy who here's a guy, sound like Chris Collinsworth at Sunday Night Football, but good in pass protection, has great hands. He probably isn't going to be a lead back. He's never had the most carries on his team. He got a DUI in March as well, so may not be worth it for his talent level. And then, but I hope I'm saying it right, Bashul Tootin. I know that Tootin is right. So Tootin from Virginia Tech. He's a home run hitter, same as Sampson and Etienne. He's got great wiggle, but he doesn't have great vision. He doesn't have great acceleration in tight situations. He's had 9 fumbles in 2 years. Tootin and Etienne and Sampson are just not guys that I think fit. If the Titans go with a running back on day 2, I think it's much more likely to be Caleb Johnson, who they met with, Damian Martinez out of Miami, who I think could be there on day 3 as well. Scattaboo, who I think also could be there on day 3 as well. But this is the tier 2 running backs that I could see going from somewhere between 35 and 100. You know what I mean? It's all possible. And those are the type of backs, the guys that I identified that I think make the most sense. But what about the guys who would be available on day 3? I have 10 different names that we're going to go over, and I would say about 4 or 5 of them would be absolute great fits for what the Tennessee Titans are looking for. And again, they absolutely need to draft a running back. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Look, folks, the MLB season kicking off, the NBA playoffs about to be here. There's nothing like the energy of a live game, but finding great seats at a great price used to be a challenge until you check out Gametime. I love Gametime personally. Football, basketball, baseball. I've done WNBA. I've done comedy tickets on Gametime. Gametime makes scoring last-minute tickets easier than ever. Prices actually drop as you get closer to the event. Plus, they have all-in pricing, total costs up front, no surprise fees at checkout. Plus, you get the panoramic view from your seat, which I love, so I know what I'm going to be looking at when I sit down. You get the game time guarantee, so you know that you're going to be getting the lowest price and you don't have to worry about overpaying. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. It is our running back and tight end episode of the 2025 Locked On Titans NFL Draft Preview Series. Again, I'm going position by position. We'll go over like 180 to 200 prospects during the next couple of episodes. 20 running backs today. We looked at the tier 1 options, the tier 2 options, where I really think the Titans could strike. But we do got to talk about the tier 3 options, because it's very likely, probably more likely, that the Titans look to day 3 of the NFL draft after the top 100 picks to get a running back. And I think there are a ton of good options. Before I continue, I want to remind you, my Cam Ward film breakdown videos are up on the Tic Tac Titans YouTube channel. Make sure that you go check those out. I got a 50-minute video on all the things you should be excited about, a 30-minute video on all the things that need to be cleaned up. I hope you guys will give it a shot. But with that being said, day 3 running backs. You start at the top with a guy like Jaden Blue from Texas. And look, I think the Tennessee Titans need a power running back. But once you get to day 3, if you like somebody's talent, I mean, you might as well get him. And Jaden Blue could be a guy like that. Out of Texas, incredible speed. I mean, he ran a 4.28 40. All right. Incredible speed. He is a great receiving back. Like, he is a pure receiving back. I think he could have a long career in the NFL as just being a third down back. He's got awesome jukes and spin moves. Like, he's so nasty in space. But look, he weighs less than 200 pounds. He's a smaller guy. He's more of a gadget guy that's just been used on like outside runs. He's not a guy who's run up the gut very often. So you wonder about how he would be able to work in a true committee in that way. And he's had 7 fumbles on, honestly, pretty limited touches. So is he just a small guy who's really fast, who can't handle the physicality of football? You know, he just can't hold on to the ball. That's something to wonder about. And again, I think the Titans need more of a power running back. So Blue is very enticing on day 3, but I just don't think he's the best option for what the Titans need. Now, guys who I think do fit. Devin Neal out of Kansas, 5'11", 213 pounds. He's got great, nimble, quick feet, and he uses them to juke guys out and make people miss. He's got great vision. He never fumbles the ball, and he can run through contact. That's the type of player that I want for the Titans. No, he's not the greatest athlete with great explosion and these quick lateral jump cuts. And he's not really a guy who's been great in the receiving game. But good feet for a guy his size, can make a man miss in the hole on short yardage situations. That's critical. Doesn't fumble, is reliable, will run through contact. That's what I'm looking for in a short yardage power back. All right, Devin Neal out of Kansas on day 3 would make a lot of sense. DJ Giddens out of Kansas State is such an interesting player. The way he runs reminds me of DeMarco Murray. All right, he's a high cut guy. He's got high hips. All right, 6 foot, 212 pounds. So he's not too small. He could still conceivably fill a power back role from a size perspective. Really great cuts, one cut, get upfield, find the crease, get through the crease. Again, those high cut guys who are just kind of slim built, they can get, it almost reminds me of Chris Brown. If Titans fans want to go back in the Wayback Machine, Chris Brown was a high cut running back with high hips. You know what I mean? And often when you run that high, you don't run great in short yardage because you don't get low and barrel through people. And that's an issue for Giddens. He's not very good in short yardage situations. So while he may have the build, 6 foot, 212, he still isn't very good in short yardage because of how high cut he is. Okay? So doesn't run through contact well, and he doesn't have high-end top speed. So it's like, that's why he's probably a day 3 option. But on day 3, I'm willing to take a chance on a guy who I think has some upside. All right? Also, we get to what might be my favorite day 3 running back, and it's Ollie Gordon out of Oklahoma State. And I think you could probably get an Ollie Gordon in the 5th round. I'm thinking like pick 141, maybe even pick 167 for the Titans. But you guys know Ollie Gordon, Oklahoma State. He was considered one of the best running backs in college football after 2023, had a great year, took a big step back in 2024. Look, he's just not a very creative runner, okay? He's a big-bodied power back who's going to get downhill, run through contact, but he doesn't have a lot of shake, doesn't have a lot of twitch, doesn't have a lot of, like, explosive athleticism. He's just going to get downhill and run with physicality, but that's exactly what the Titans need. And on day 3, that would be incredible for the Titans. Now, there are a lot of options here that I think shouldn't really be of interest to the Titans based on the fact that I think they need power running backs. Brashad Smith out of SMU, he's a speed back. He's small, doesn't run with power, but great speed. Jordan James out of Oregon, he runs with decent power for a guy his size and speed. He can kind of squeeze between those holes, but he's just not built very bulky. Yards after contact isn't really there. He's had some drops issues in the run game or in the receiving game. Doesn't tempo his runs very well. RJ Harvey out of UCF, another guy with great speed, great explosion, has great moves in the open field, great acceleration, but another guy who just isn't built very thick, doesn't run with patience, doesn't have great vision, doesn't really set up his blockers well. The mental aspects of being a running back aren't really there, even if all the physical aspects are there for RJ Harvey. So maybe you get him in and you give him a shot because he's got such great physical characteristics, and you hope that, mentally he catches up to how to set things up in the run game. LaQuint Allen is another guy, I think, it's Clemson. Wide receiver style, basically. Or LaQuint Allen is Louisville, I believe. But basically a wide receiver. Like, runs great routes, ran routes from the slot. But the problem is he's built more like a wide receiver. Doesn't really have much power. I don't know if he's a pure running back. So it doesn't really fit what I'm looking for stylistically. Ja'Cory Koski Merritt is another guy. No, I'm getting all mixed up now. I think LaQuint Allen is Clemson and Ja'Cory Koski Merritt is Louisville. But great speed. Oh, it was Arizona. Duh. Arizona. Sorry. Arizona. Great speed. Good acceleration. Great cuts. He's just another guy who's built slim. A little too loose of a running style. Needs to get upfield. You know what I mean? Like, just get upfield. It kind of dances a little too much, and he doesn't really give you much on third down. So I have identified the guys that I like in this class. That's 20 different guys we've gone over, but realistically, Caleb Johnson, Damian Martinez, Cam Scatterbu, Devin Neal, DJ Giddens, Ollie Gordon, and RJ Harvey. Now, I'll say this. There is a player who I think is very interesting. And shout out to my guy, James Foster from No Flags Films. This is his guy. But I have fallen for the propaganda. Lan Larison out of UC Davis. He is basically a Division II Christian McCaffrey. That's how he plays. He plays like Christian McCaffrey. That's what it looks like. And yes, I mean that in plenty of ways. It's like watching Christian McCaffrey at the D2 level. So if the Titans want to take a chance on him and be like, hey, this dude was an absolute freak at that level, maybe he's just that good, screw it. 7th round pick, 6th round pick. Well, the Titans don't have a 7, but one of those 3 6. Let's take it, or it's only 2 6 because I always think 167 is a 6, but it's a 5th. But either way, take a shot, man. Let's see it. Let's do it. Lan Larison. So those are my fits at running back. But now we do need to talk about the tight ends. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We've talked about the top running backs in the draft. We talked about the day 3 options for the Titans, my favorite fits as power backs in the draft for the Titans. Again, dumping so much information on you guys here. I certainly hope that you do appreciate what's about to happen over the next few episodes as we go through every single position. I am giving you a really good understanding of all of the different players that could be options for the Titans, and I'm going to break it down by day 1, day 2, day 3, so you have an understanding of when to expect these guys to come off the board. Excited to hear who all of you like and who your guys are in this draft, all the different positions. But we're going to talk tight ends right now to cap off today. Tomorrow, wide receivers. Going to be a big, bulky, long episode because Lord knows the Tennessee Titans not only need wide receiver desperately, but they need a bunch of them. So we're going to be looking at a ton of different wide receivers, probably 30 wide receivers on tomorrow's show. But talking about tight ends, the top guys at the position, I just don't think are going to be options for the Titans. Tyler Warren out of Penn State. Listen, I'm not comparing him to Rob Gronkowski talent-wise or what he's going to be at the NFL level, but I'm just giving you a visual of the style of player. He is a classic tight end. Tyler Warren is a classic tight end. 6'5", 256, prototype, wide tight end, line of scrimmage, hand in the dirt, next to the tackle. He runs smart routes. He's a good mover. He's a tough blocker. He's probably going to go in the top 15 in the NFL draft. I think it might be a little high. I'm just not high. I'm just not high on tight ends that high in the draft. I mean, people are saying, he's comparable to Brock Bowers, and I just don't think so. I think Brock Bowers was a better prospect. So I wouldn't take Warren that high. I'm hoping like the Colts take him. Go ahead. But anyways, Warren's not an option for the Titans. They're not going to take Tyler Warren. Now, what I will say is tight end 2, Colston Loveland out of Michigan, 6'5", 248 pounds. He's basically like a Mike Gesicki type of tight end. He's not going to be in line, hand in the dirt, next to the offensive tackle. He's going to be a big slot wide receiver. He's going to be extended off the line of scrimmage, out of the tackle box. But, man, he is a great athlete, really explosive, runs good routes, has great length. I got to tell you, I know that we talk about wide receiver, but if Colston Loveland was there at 35 and the Titans took him, think Mike Gesicki is having a lot of success in Cincinnati right now. Elijah Aurora, who we're going to talk about in a second, more of a receiving tight end than a hand in the dirt type guy constantly. So it would be a break away from what I think the Titans need in that big traditional blocking tight end. But if the Titans need weapons in the passing game, a matchup tight end would not be the worst thing ever. And I think Colston Loveland's talent at 35 would be a steal because he's a guy who some people think could go top 15, could go top 20, top 25, go in the first round. So if he's there at 35 from a talent perspective, that kind of weapon in the passing game could make sense. But again, I don't think that's very realistic that he would be available. Now, a tight end that I do think makes sense for the Titans if they go with a tight end on day 2. Again, if the Tennessee Titans trade back from pick 35 and they pick up a third-round pick somewhere from 70 to 95, then they'll likely go edge or wide receiver with that first pick in the second round, their trade back. But the additional third that they add with that trade, it could go O-line, safety, linebacker, tight end, running back. Like, I really do think we need to keep an open mind here with what the Titans could do with that extra third-round pick if they were to trade back. And as a matter of fact, I would extend that to the second-round pick. If they trade back and they get, without looking at the actual picks, they get 42 and 79, they could take the open-minded pick at 42. They could go tight end, running back, offensive line, linebacker, safety, cornerback at 42. And then with the third-round pick that they acquired, go wide receiver, edge, things that we think of more as needs. Guys, it's like your breaks. All right, you guys may think I'm crazy with the running back and the tight end stuff, but it's like your brakes. If you know your brakes are going out, you don't wait until they're completely out to get them fixed. If you know your tires are going bad, you don't wait until they're completely bald to get them changed. If you are listening and you do that, stop. Stop it. All right, I've been that guy a lot of years in my life. All right, and a lot of times it's because I'm broke. All right, I can't afford new tires. I got to run them to the threads. But listen, if you are running a football team, you don't do that intentionally or you get yourself in bad spots. So I know that it may sound crazy when I go through these and say where they're going to be drafted, but think ahead here. All right. The Titans aren't going all out for 2025. They're building something. So Mason Taylor out of LSU, 6'5", 250, smooth mover, calm on the field. He's a really calm and poised athlete. He's reliable. He doesn't drop the ball. He's going to be in the right spots. Look, he's not a good enough blocker on the inline, so maybe that's not an option. But if Bill Callahan could take some of these guys and say, I'm going to coach them up, maybe he could coach up a tight end to block better too. Okay? So Mason Taylor is a guy who I really like. Mason Taylor. Titans probably won't take him, but I really like Mason Taylor. He's my guy at tight end this year that I'm a big fan of. Elijah Aroro played at Miami, played with Cam Ward, 6'5", 250. Look, he's had a ton of injuries throughout his career, but he was healthy in 2024, and he was productive. I've watched him on tape. He can get down the seam. He can run vertical routes down the field and make catches above his head. He can also be good on little short yardage RPO stuff, like little tight end flat RPO gimmicks. He can do that. He's got good change of direction. And look, he may not be the best blocker, but he gives a lot of effort. He tries hard. And if you're willing to try and you're 6'5" and you're 250 pounds and you have good change of direction, then I can work with that as an inline tight end. All right. I can work with that, and pairing him back up with Cam Ward, he's going to be so comfortable in the RPO stuff that the Titans inevitably add into the offense to help Cam Ward get comfortable. Like, that would be a great way to make your guy feel comfortable. And him and Chigakonkwo would give the Titans a super, super versatile tight end group when it comes to those little quick screen actions. All right. Moving forward, I want to talk about a tight end that the Tennessee Titans actually brought to the facility for a 30 visit. And that's why you may think I'm crazy, but like I said with Caleb Johnson at running back, that's a day 2 running back. So why are the Titans looking at him? They're probably looking at other day 2 running backs too then. The Titans brought in Terrence Ferguson, who's probably a late day 2, early day 3 tight end. Well, if they're looking at him, they're probably looking at the Mason Taylors, Elijah Auroros, the Terrence Fergusons of the world. Ferguson is 6'5", 255 pounds out of Oregon. He is a really good blocker. really good blocker. He's long, and he utilizes that in the run game. He's good at in-breaking routes and breaking, which the Titans are going to use a ton of, and they do in their West Coast spread scheme. But he's got to play bigger. He should use his length more in the receiving game. He's not a guy who is good at contested catches. So for a guy that long and that big to not be good at contested catches and not play with the physicality that you want, play bigger, play tougher, play meaner for your size. He just simply doesn't. I wouldn't be surprised if that lack of tenacity is what the Titans needed to check the box of when they brought him in for a visit. They wanted to sit him down, show him on tape where he did not play with the physicality that he should for a guy his size, and say, why did you not do that? That's a box that probably needed to be checked in a longer visit. But again, having Terrence Ferguson in for a visit shows you that the Tennessee Titans are interested in tight ends that are in that range. So don't think it's crazy if they take a tight end at the end of day 2 with an additional pick they acquire, or with pick 103 early on day 3. Don't be surprised. Another guy who I think deserves to be in the conversation, who I just don't think is a great fit, is Harold Fannin Jr. Harold Fannin Jr., 6'3", 240 pounds, out of Bowling Green, close to me, Max School. Best tight end season in college football history last year. Elite. Like, this dude, when you watch him, you would think he'd be one of the best tight ends ever. He reminds me of a Delaney Walker type of guy. He's an undersized tight end who's a great route runner. And once he gets the ball in his hands, he just seems calm and poised and makes guys miss. And he always catches the ball, literally never drops the football. It's crazy. Never drops the football. He has like everything you want from a tight end, except the athleticism. I mean, he is historically unathletic from a testing number standpoint. He is undersized. Like, everything about Harold Fannin Jr. physically is underwhelming. But when you watch him on tape, it's like, man, that guy can play. So I don't think he's a fit for the Titans, but he's a guy who I'm like, somebody's got to take a chance on him, right? Like, he was just too good of a football player on tape. The last couple of guys I want to talk about are guys who are day 3 options for sure for me. You may need to take Terrence Ferguson in the top 4 rounds, but these last 2 guys are 5th round or 6th round options. Gunnar Helm out of Texas, 6'5", 240, good movement skills, good yards after catch ability, good in contested situations. He's a decent blocker. He just doesn't have great speed, and he really didn't do anything at all until his final year at Texas, and he still barely ever got the ball. Like, he has no production to really lean on. Mitchell Evans is the last guy I'm going to talk about. He's out of Notre Dame. He's had a ton of injury issues throughout his career. I think he's had an ACL. He had a foot issue. 6'5", 258 pounds, though. Big-bodied, physical, classic wide tight end. Good at contested catches. Plays with great strength. Uses his size. He's just not a good route runner. Doesn't have speed. Ran a 4.69 40. Doesn't play with a lot of fire either for a guy his size. Like, you know, I want to see more, all right, for a guy that big. But he's someone who I think the Titans could have interest in because he fits that mold of what I think they really need, and it's that inline blocking tight end. Wiley isn't a good enough blocker. Chig isn't a good enough blocker. Can you really count on Thomas Odukoye or David Martin Robinson? I think bringing in a tight end late in the draft could make some sense for the Titans if they fit that blocking mold, which is what Terrence Ferguson does. So makes a lot of sense for me. But that's going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Wide receivers tomorrow. And this was Locked On Titans.